There's a silence so deep it hums with the weight of time. It's not empty. It's full of stories waiting to be told, buried in stone and starlight. These marks, rough, deliberate, ancient, are not just scratches. They are the first whispers of a mind reaching out to the world, to itself, to the infinite. This is where the dream began. Not in the stars, not in the sky, but in the silence between breaths, in the dark, where we first learned to speak. The cave is a mirror. It reflects our earliest selves, wild, curious, full of questions we have yet to answer. And in that silence, we heard the echo of something vast, a cosmic dream waiting to be born. We're talking about the first time humans put meaning to stone. Not just any stone, but the kind that feels like the world itself. These walls, ancient and silent, are not just surfaces. They are the first pages of a story that would change everything. These markings are not random. They are attempts to capture something beyond the physical. A thought, a feeling, a question. They are the first whispers of the human mind reaching out to the universe. It's not just the content of these markings that matters. It's the act of creating them. The courage to leave something behind to say, this matters. That's what separates us from the animals. That's what starts the journey of being human. These walls are the first mirrors. They don't just reflect the world. They reflect the inner world of the human spirit. And in that reflection, we see the beginning of what it means to dream. You might think these ancient walls are just stone, but they are the first poems, the first stories, the first whispers of what makes us human. They are not just art, they are the origin of our dreams. When you look at those markings, you're not just seeing paint or lines. You're seeing the earliest attempts to capture the intangible. Fear, hope, love, the infinite. These are the seeds of everything we create. These cave walls are not just relics of the past. They are the foundation of every story you've ever read, every song you've ever heard, every idea you've ever dared to imagine. You should care because you are the descendant of those who once stood in darkness, drawing light with their hands. You are still searching for meaning, and that search began in the caves. The first marks on stone were not just symbols, but whispers of a mind reaching toward the unknown. They were the first steps in a long, winding path of trying to make sense of a world that refused to be understood. Then came the cave paintings, stories painted in darkness, telling of beasts and hunters, of gods and ancestors, of a world both terrifying and beautiful. The written word was the birth of memory, a way to preserve the fleeting moments of time, to leave behind a trace of who we were and who we hoped to become. From the cave walls to the pages of history, human expression grew from silence into song, from shadow into light, from instinct into art. And so, we built our dreams into the walls of time, leaving behind a legacy not just of what we saw, but of what we dared to imagine. Imagine you're in a dark cave and you find a wall. You're not sure what to do, but you feel something inside you wants to make a mark. Maybe you draw a line, or maybe you paint with your fingers. It's just you and the wall, and the idea that you're not alone. You don't know why you're doing it. Maybe you feel like you need to say something. Maybe you think someone else is watching, even if they're not. You make a shape, a line, a symbol, and you're telling a story, even if no one is there to hear it. That mark, that line, that shape, it's the first time you feel like you have something to share. It's not just a drawing. It's a way to say, I was here, and I had something to say, even if no one else knew. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're trying to remember something. You're trying to feel like you belong to something bigger, to a world that listens, even if it's just in your own mind. That's what art is. Not just making something, but feeling like you're part of something. You're not just a person. You're a story. And that story starts with a mark on a wall. Before the first hand touched the wall, there was silence. A silence not of emptiness, but of waiting. Waiting for the first breath of meaning to stir in the dark. The hand was not just an instrument, but a question. A question that asked, what if this mark holds something more than itself? The stone was not indifferent. It was a mirror, waiting to be broken. This was not just a gesture. It was an invitation. A whisper that said, I am here, and I see you. The cave, once a refuge, now became a stage for the first great dialogue between human and stone. In that moment, the world shifted. The cave was no longer just a space. It was a mind that had begun to dream, to remember, to create. And in that creation, something new was born, the human imagination. The first hand pressed into the wall, not as a tool, but as a whisper. It was not meant to carve, but to touch, to remember, to begin the act of naming the unknown. The second hand followed, not to replicate, but to echo. Each mark was a question, a pulse, a silent dialogue with the stone that had stood for millennia before us. The hand became a bridge between the self and the world. It was no longer just a limb, but a voice, a gesture, a story waiting to be told. Each line, each symbol, was a step into the unknown. The cave was not just a shelter, but a mirror, reflecting the first flickers of thought, of desire, of becoming. The act of making, of drawing, was not just the beginning of art. It was the beginning of consciousness, of understanding that we are not merely here, but that we are becoming. The twist is not just in the act of making, but in the realization that the mark is not a mark at all. It is a story. The first symbols are not just symbols. They are the first words of a language that will one day stretch across the stars. They start with simple lines. Lines that bend, twist, and echo like the sound of a voice. These marks are not random. They are the first breaths of meaning, the first whispers of intention. In that moment, the human mind does something extraordinary. It transforms the physical into the conceptual. A mark becomes a thought becomes a symbol, and a symbol becomes a door to the unknown. This is not just creation. It is the birth of imagination, the first step toward the cosmos. The cave wall becomes a canvas, and the human hand becomes both artist and astronomer. The clever twist is that they were not just making art. They were making a map, not of the earth, but of the mind. A map of dreams, of gods, of the vast silent universe waiting to be understood. Beneath the dust of ancient caves, the first strokes of meaning were not just marks, but pulses, frequencies of thought vibrating through time, waiting to be heard. These carvings were not mere pictures. They were the first equations of human consciousness, translating the unknown into something we could grasp, even if only in fragments. In the silence of the cave, there was a kind of music, a rhythm of creation that echoes through the corridors of time, a pulse that still beats in the marrow of our bones. The human mind, with its infinite capacity to dream, is not separate from the universe. It is a star, a spark, a whisper of the cosmos trying to remember itself. Every mark, every symbol, every cave drawing is a bridge between the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknowable, the human and the cosmic. Imagine the universe as a vast, silent canvas, and we as tiny, flickering sparks trying to leave our mark. We paint with the dust of stars, carve with the echoes of time, and dream with the silence between the galaxies. The first act of expression is not speech, not art, but a hand pressed against the cold wall of a cave, raw, unfiltered, and full of meaning that defies words. The universe is not a mystery to be solved, but a mirror to be gazed into, reflecting our fears, our hopes, and our endless desire to belong to something greater. We are the cave walls of the future, etching our dreams into the dark, hoping someone, somewhere, will one day look back and see the light we left behind. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. In the dim light of a forgotten archive, dust motes dance like silent witnesses to a forgotten age. Here, in these brittle pages, we find the echoes of a time when humanity dared to dream beyond its own limits. It was not just the brushstrokes on canvas or the chisel marks on stone that changed the world. It was the way these creations reflected a new understanding of what it meant to be human. The Renaissance was not a single moment, but a reawakening, a recognition that art could not only capture reality, but also reveal the boundless potential within us all. To understand this era is to see the first flicker of a revolution, not of politics or war, but of thought, of imagination, of the soul reaching toward the infinite. This is the story of how art became a mirror, not of the world as it was, but of the world as it could be. So what exactly are we talking about? It's not just paintings and sculptures. It's a shift in the human spirit, a rediscovery of our own potential, reflected in the art of the time. It's about the power of the individual, the artist as a visionary, no longer just a craftsman, but a thinker, a seeker of truth, shaping the world through his gaze and hand. Art became a mirror, not just of beauty, but of the human condition, our dreams, our struggles, our aspirations. It was a language that spoke to the soul across time. And in that mirror, we see not just the past, but a reflection of our own potential, our capacity to create, to imagine, to transform the world through the power of our vision. You think art is just pretty pictures? Think again. The Renaissance didn't just paint beauty. It painted the future. It showed us what we could become. The artists didn't just copy the world. They reimagined it. They saw potential in every face, every hand, every soul. That's not just art. It's a declaration of who we are. When you look at a Renaissance masterpiece, you're not just looking at a time long gone. You're seeing the blueprint of human possibility. That's why it still moves us today. The Renaissance taught us that art isn't just for the elite. It's a language of the soul, a way to speak across time and space. And that language is still alive in you. So when you dismiss art as irrelevant, you're not just missing beauty. You're missing the map to your own potential. That's why you should secretly care. We begin in the late 14th century, in Florence, where the dust of medieval thought was still heavy, but the spark of curiosity had already begun to flicker. This was a time of transition, when the world was still bound by chains of faith, but the mind was already reaching for the stars. It was in this crucible of thought that artists like Gaetano and Brunelleschi dared to see the world not as it was, but as it could be. Each stroke of paint, each chisel mark, was a declaration. That man is not just a creature of the divine, but of his own making. This was the speed run of history, the quickening of the soul, the acceleration of thought, and the birth of a new way to see the world. Imagine a world where people stopped seeing art as magic and started seeing it as a mirror. Every painting, every sculpture, every piece of music, it was showing them who they could become. Art didn't just show the world. It showed them their own potential. It was like a secret language that said, "You are more than you think." This was the real revolution. Not in weapons or war, but in the way people saw themselves. Art made them believe they could change the world. So, when you look at a Renaissance painting, remember, it's not just art. It's a map of what we could be. And it was drawn by someone who believed in you. To begin this revolution, the artist first sets the stage, not with paint or brush, but with a question. What does it mean to be human? What is the soul's shape in the world? These are the silent foundations upon which all great art is built. The setup is not just physical. It is a state of mind. The artist must be in a place of solitude, where thoughts can breathe and ideas can take form. This is the sacred space where imagination begins to stretch beyond the known. Art was not just created, it was discovered, like a long-lost truth waiting to be unearthed. The Renaissance artists did not invent beauty. They revealed it, as if peeling back layers of the world to see the soul beneath. The process was meticulous, a dance between vision and craft. Every stroke was deliberate, every line a conversation between the artist's mind and the material. It was not creation, but revelation, a mirror reflecting the human spirit through pigment and form. The mechanism was not in the hand, but in the mind. It was a shift in perspective, a new way of seeing the world as a place of infinite potential. The artist was not merely copying nature, he was deciphering it, translating the visible into the profound. This transformation was not accidental. It was a conscious act, a revolution not of weapons, but of ideas. The artist became a prophet, a seeker of truth, and the canvas became a sacred space where humanity could glimpse its own greatness. In every brushstroke, there was a question. What is it to be human? And in every answer, there was a glimpse of the infinite. The Renaissance did not just change art, it changed the way we see ourselves. The clever twist lies in the idea that art isn't just a reflection of the world, but a means to reshape it. It's not enough to capture reality, you must challenge it. The Renaissance artists dared to ask, what if we create something that doesn't just mirror life, but helps us see beyond it? What if art can inspire change, not just document it? Art became a kind of alchemy, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary, and the human into the sublime. It was a way to say, we are capable of more than we think. This clever twist made art not just a product of the Renaissance, but a force that carried its spirit forward. It became a map, a mirror, and a compass all at once. Beneath the brushstrokes and marble, there was a quiet science, a discipline of observation, of measurement, of proportion. The Renaissance thinkers didn't just paint beauty. They measured it, dissected it, and then reassembled it with precision. They studied the human body not as a mystery, but as a system. Muscles, bones, veins, each part a node in a grand design. This was not just art, it was a quest for knowledge, a silent dialogue between mind and matter. Even the stars were not left to the mystics. Galileo's telescope turned the heavens into a laboratory, revealing moons and mountains, challenging the old certainties, and expanding the mind's reach. This was the true revolution, not just in art, but in thought. The Renaissance was not a rebirth, but a reawakening of the human mind's capacity to understand, to create, to question, and to transcend. Imagine the Renaissance not as a painting, but as a fire. It wasn't just a spark, it was a bonfire, consuming old ways, lighting the way for new ones. The fire didn't just warm it. It transformed the air, the soil, the minds of those who stood near it, forever changed by its heat. The Renaissance was a fire that didn't burn out. It kept burning, feeding on the curiosity and hunger of those who dared to look beyond the ashes. In the end, it wasn't just art that was reborn. It was the human spirit, the unquenchable desire to create, to question, to become. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You ever look at a painting and feel like it's speaking to you? Now imagine that same feeling, but with code, pixels, and algorithms. It's not just art. It's a language, and it's rewriting how we create. This isn't just about making things look pretty. It's about making things that think, that move, that adapt. It's a new kind of canvas, and it's alive. We're not just using technology. We're becoming co-authors of a new creative frontier. It's not just for artists. It's for thinkers, tinkerers, and dreamers who want to build something that feels real. This is the digital canvas. It's not just a tool. It's a new way of seeing, of making, of connecting. And it's only just beginning. So what exactly are we talking about? Let me paint a picture. When I say digital canvas, I'm not just talking about a screen. It's the blank space where ideas take shape, where creativity flows through code and color. A canvas used to be stretched linen, but now it's a pixel grid. It's the same act of creation, just with different tools. You're not painting with brushes, you're painting with light and logic. We're talking about tools that let us think, create, and share in ways that were once impossible. It's not just about the medium, it's about the mindset. Creativity isn't limited by the tools, it's redefined by them. So the digital canvas is more than just a space. It's a platform, a language, a way to connect, to express, to innovate. It's the new frontier of creativity, and it's here to stay. You think creativity is just about drawing or writing? Think again. Every app, every algorithm, every pixel on your screen is a brush in a digital gallery you didn't even know you had. You're not just using technology, you're shaping it. Every click, every swipe, every like or share is a choice that helps define what's possible next. You might not realize it, but you're already a creator in this digital space. Whether you're sharing a photo, a song, or a thought, you're building something new. The tools are here, the world is watching, and the next great idea could be yours. You're not just using technology, you're helping to create it. Let's rewind to the 1950s, when computers were still big, loud, and mostly used for calculations. But even then, people started seeing them as tools for something more, like painting with code. By the 1960s, pioneers like Ivan Sutherland were sketching out the first digital drawings. His Sketchpad program allowed users to create shapes on a screen, like magic, but with math. The 1980s brought the personal computer, and with it, a new kind of artist. Tools like Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator made it possible to create art with a mouse, not just a brush. Then came the internet. Suddenly, creativity wasn't just made on a screen, it was shared, critiqued, and inspired by millions of others all around the world. Today, we're not just using technology to create. We're building worlds, coding games, and making art that exists in virtual reality, like never before. Imagine you have a magic paintbrush, but instead of paint, you use ideas. You can draw with words, make music with your fingers, or build worlds with your imagination. That's what technology does for us. You don't need to be a superhero to create. All you need is a spark, a screen, and the courage to try. Technology is like a blank page waiting for your story. Creativity isn't just for artists. It's for everyone. Whether you're making a video, telling a story, or just sharing your thoughts, you're creating something amazing. So, next time you pick up a device, remember, you're not just holding a tool, you're holding a canvas, and the world is waiting to see what you make. Setting up your digital canvas starts with choosing the right tools. Whether it's a tablet, a laptop, or a dedicated drawing station, the setup is the foundation of your creative journey. Next, you need the right software. A a digital brush that feels as natural as a pencil on paper. The interface should be intuitive, letting you focus on the art, not the controls. Don't forget your stylus or pen. It's the bridge between your mind and the digital canvas. A good one feels responsive, precise, and almost like an extension of your hand. Once everything is in place, take a moment to breathe. The setup is just the beginning. It's the quiet before the storm of creativity, ready to unfold. So, you've got your idea, now it's time to bring it to life. The digital canvas isn't just a blank page. It's a dynamic space where tools and code work together to turn thoughts into form. At the heart of this process is the mechanism. A blend of software, algorithms, and user input that translates your vision into something tangible, pixel by pixel. From the moment you click a brush or press a key, the software interprets your action, and the digital world responds in real time, adapting to your intent. This is where creativity meets technology, not as a replacement, but as an extension. The mechanism becomes your partner, translating your ideas into something the world can see. And just like a painter with a brush, you're not just creating, you're shaping a new kind of expression, one that's boundless, immediate, and deeply personal. Now, the clever twist comes when you start using more than just tools. You begin to use the environment itself as part of your creative process. Imagine your workspace not just as a place to work, but as a canvas that responds to your actions. Lights that change with your mood, or screens that shift with your ideas. This twist isn't just about aesthetics. It's about creating a seamless, immersive experience where creativity is no longer limited by the device, but enhanced by it. In the end, this clever twist is what makes the digital canvas so powerful. It's not just where you create, but how you live and breathe within it. Behind every brushstroke of code lies a symphony of physics, where electricity dances with logic to bring our ideas to life. From the transistor to the neural network, technology is built on the same fundamental principles that govern the natural world. Creativity isn't just about what we make. It's about understanding how the world works and then reimagining it. The tools we build today are the building blocks of tomorrow's imagination, and they're powered by the same science that shapes our reality. In the end, it's not just about the tools. It's about the wonder of discovery, the thrill of creation, and the quiet hum of understanding. Imagine a painter who's never held a brush, but suddenly has a canvas, paint, and a palette. They're confused, but they try, and in that confusion, something magical happens. They create. This painter isn't trained, but they're not lost. They're experimenting, making mistakes, and learning through doing. That's where creativity thrives, in the unknown. Technology is like that canvas. It's not a tool for experts alone. It's a space for the untrained, the curious, the bold. And in that space, magic is born. The point isn't to be perfect. The point is to be present. To touch the canvas, to try, to fail, and to keep going. That's where the real art begins. So let's stop pretending we need to be experts to create. We don't. We just need to show up with our tools, our curiosity, and our willingness to try, and let the canvas speak. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. What if the next great story, the next great song, the next great painting, wasn't made by a human at all? What if it was made by a machine? We're used to thinking of creativity as a spark, something deeply personal, something that flows from human experience and emotion. Can a machine really create something new? Or is it just rearranging what it has already seen? And if machines can create, where does that leave us? Are we artists? Or are we just curators of the next great thing? This isn't just about technology. It's about what it means to be creative and who gets to decide what counts as art. So let's start with a question. Can machines be creative? And if they can, what does that mean for us? So what exactly are we talking about? When we say AI can be creative, we're not just talking about robots writing poems or painting landscapes. We're talking about systems that can generate art, compose music, write stories, and even invent new ideas in ways that challenge our understanding of creativity. It's not just about mimicking human creativity. It's about whether machines can develop their own original ideas, independent of human input. This isn't about replacing human creativity, but about expanding it, opening new doors for what we think creativity can be. So, what is creativity in the age of AI? Is it a new kind of collaboration, or is it something entirely different? Think about the last time you felt something truly original. A song, a painting, a story. It wasn't just new, it was deeply personal. And yet, here's a machine that can replicate that feeling with uncanny precision. What if the next big breakthrough in art, science, or design isn't just another human mind, but a machine trained on everything we've ever created? It's not just about speed or scale. It's about the potential to redefine what we think creativity even is. You might not be an artist, but you're part of a culture that values creativity. Every time you consume a piece of media, you're engaging with the legacy of human imagination. And now, that legacy is being rewritten by algorithms. When machines start creating things that move us, challenge us, or even change the way we think, that's when we realize we're not just observers, but participants in a new kind of creative evolution. So, why should you care? Because creativity isn't just about making art, it's about understanding who we are. And if machines are now part of that process, then we're all in on a journey we can't yet fully imagine. Imagine a world where creation is not just human expression, but a process guided by algorithms. We've been here before, long before AI, when the first tools shaped stone into tools, and then into art. The birth of the printing press in 1440 was a revolution in sharing ideas. Yet, it was still human hands that carved each letter. It was a step toward democratizing creation, but not the end of it. Now we're at the edge of a new frontier, where AI tools like Midjourney and DALL-E are rewriting the rules of creation. They don't just generate, they challenge our understanding of what it means to create. But does this mean machines are becoming creative? Or are they just mirroring the patterns we've already shaped? The line between creation and curation is blurring in ways we're only beginning to grasp. The future of creation isn't just about what we make with machines, but what we learn from them. Are they tools, partners, or something more? This is where the real story begins. Imagine you have a magic crayon that can draw anything you imagine. Now, imagine that crayon can also think and learn from every drawing it ever makes. That's kind of what AI is like when it comes to creativity. But wait, is that crayon really creating? Or is it just copying what it's seen before? It's like when you play with a toy that makes sounds. It sounds fun, but is it really being creative? Creativity isn't just about making something new. It's about making something that feels real and personal. Can a machine really feel that same spark of imagination? Maybe the real question isn't whether AI can be creative, but whether we can trust it to create something that matters. And that's something we're still learning to answer. Before any code is written, there's a quiet setup, like a painter arranging their palette. The machine needs data, a kind of raw material to begin its creative journey. This data comes in many forms: images, text, audio, but it's all just information, like the strokes a painter might use before they even start. The machine doesn't understand the meaning of the data, but it can learn patterns. Think of it as a child observing the world, not yet grasping it, but starting to recognize shapes and sounds. This initial phase is like building a foundation. It's not creativity yet, but it's the first step in allowing the machine to imagine, to generate, to create. So, the setup is simple in form. but profound in purpose. It's not just about feeding the machine data. It's about giving it a starting point to explore the unknown. And in that moment, as the machine takes its first steps into the world of creation, it's not just a tool. It's a collaborator, learning alongside us. So, after the model is trained, it's time to let it create. But how does it actually generate something new? It starts by taking in a prompt, a simple sentence or phrase that acts as a seed for the creative process. The prompt is then converted into a numerical representation, like a code that the model can understand. It's not just words. It's a complex set of patterns that the model has learned to recognize and manipulate. Once the model has this numerical input, it uses its vast knowledge and patterns to generate a response. It's like a puzzle, filling in the blanks with what it thinks is most likely next, based on everything it's seen before. But the real magic is in the randomness. The model introduces small, unpredictable variations to keep the output fresh and new. It's not just repeating what it knows, it's creating something that feels original. And there it is. Something new, something unexpected. But remember, the model isn't thinking in the way humans do. It's more like a vast library of patterns, constantly reshuffling and recombining to give the illusion of creativity. Now comes the clever twist. The moment the machine doesn't just repeat patterns, but recombines them in ways we didn't expect. It's like mixing paint, but with data and algorithms. This isn't just about following rules. It's about learning how to break them. The AI starts to experiment, to play, to invent new combinations that weren't in the training data. This step is where the AI begins to feel like it's not just copying, but contributing. It's the moment where the machine starts to surprise us, not with answers, but with new questions. And here's the beauty of it. This process mirrors how humans create. It's not about having the right tools, but about how you use them to explore, to imagine, and to discover. Behind the code lies a complex web of mathematics, statistics, and neural networks. Layers of algorithms that mimic human thought. It's like a silent orchestra, playing in the background of every AI creation. These systems are trained on vast datasets, learning patterns and correlations, but they don't truly understand context or meaning in the way humans do. It's more like memorization than insight. Some researchers argue that creativity isn't just about generating new ideas, but about recombining existing ones. And AI is getting very good at that kind of recombination. But there's still a gap. AI can produce impressive results, but it doesn't experience the world the way we do. It lacks the emotional depth, the cultural context, the personal history that shapes human creativity. So, the science hums on, quietly pushing boundaries. But the real question remains, can a machine ever truly create? Or is it just another tool in the hands of human imagination? Imagine a painter who never learned to mix colors, but somehow creates a masterpiece by randomly splattering paint across a canvas. It looks beautiful, but it's not really about skill. It's about luck. AI is like that painter. No training, no intention, just a flood of data and a few rules to follow. It creates, but not because it understands, just because it can. The beauty of AI's output is not in its intention, but in its ability to surprise us. It's not about meaning, it's about the way things look, feel, and make us feel. So maybe creativity isn't just about intelligence. It's about the ability to produce something that feels meaningful, even if it was made by accident. AI doesn't understand, but it doesn't have to. It just needs to make us feel something. And sometimes, that's enough. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.